to red flags and body bags. I'm Chloe, and today's episode is difficult. It's heartbreaking, and it's senseless in the way that it'll stick with you even after this episode. This is the story of 20-year-old Amber Czech, a daughter, a friend, and a hard-working, passionate welder who walked into her Minnesota workplace early Tuesday morning and never walked out. What happened inside that shop is one of the most shocking and brutal workplace murders I have ever researched. There were no warnings, no arguments, no conflict, nothing that gave Amber a moment to prepare. She was targeted. She was ambushed. And she was killed by a coworker, a man who later told investigators he did not like her, and that he had been planning to kill her for some time now. Today's episode honors Amber, her life, her dreams, and her future. And we're also going to talk about the bigger picture. Women in male-dominated trades. The hidden dangers they face. And other women who have been harmed, killed, for simply showing up to work in industries where they're still outnumbered, undervalued, and still resented. But first, I want to give you a quick warning. This episode does contain descriptions of extreme workplace violence, so please listen with care. The story begins on Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. It's cold, it's early, just before sunrise. And inside Advanced Process Technologies, in their facility in Cokato, Minnesota, the day shift is just starting. This is a stainless steel fabrication plant. They have welding booths, concrete floors, heavy machinery, metal clanking. The kind of place where you expect danger from the equipment, not the people. Inside this shop, 20-year-old Amber begins preparing for her shift. Amber loved her job. She wasn't just punching in a clock. She had pride in her work. Her father later said she fell in love with welding back in high school, in metal shop. She worked hard. She graduated from Hutchinson High School in 2023 and then got her welding diploma with honors from Alexandra Technical and Community College. Amber wasn't even 21 yet, but she'd already had a great career that she was great at. But coworkers talk about Amber. They talk about how smart and precise, reliable, and she was always willing to help. On her Fridays off, she even went back to her old high school to help teach welding to younger students. She wanted more girls to get into that trade or other trades. She wanted them to know they belong there too. So that morning at APT, Amber clocks in, ready for a normal day. She has no idea, just yards away, a coworker's watching her, and he has already decided that she will die today. His name? David Bruce Delong, age 40, from Watkins, Minnesota. There is nothing in the public record about a past criminal history, no known violence, no workplace complaints that we know of. There's no supporting evidence stating that Amber had a connection to him, no friendship, no arguments, no romantic interest, no known conflict. In fact, investigators later said that before the murder, surveillance video shows Amber and David walk past each other that morning, and they don't even look at each other. They don't speak. They don't interact. It should have been a normal, uneventful workday. But DeLong had other plans. He had been planning this, in his own words. And now, it's time. There has been quite a few people online stating that Amber contacted HR 5 times about David before the attack. However, I was not able to find any supporting evidence on that. Doesn't mean it's not true. I just haven't found proof. So in that surveillance at 6 a.m., it shows David leaving his workstation. He puts on work gloves. He walks directly towards Amber's workstation with a purpose. At her station is a sledgehammer, a common tool used in this area. David picks it up. Amber is standing just out of the camera's view. She doesn't see it coming. She has no warning, no chance to defend herself. So at approximately 6 a.m., David swings the sledgehammer horizontally, hitting Amber in the head, a forceful blow consistent with her being upright. She collapses. But David isn't finished. The footage shows he raised the sledgehammer again and again and again. 4 more downward, violent, forceful swings, striking Amber as she lies helpless on the floor. The attack lasts only seconds. Seconds that change everything. A coworker hears something, metal shifting, maybe a cry, and walks over. He finds Amber on the cement floor bleeding heavily from head trauma. Next to her is the sledgehammer, now covered in blood. And standing nearby is David. He looks at the coworker and says, "I hit her with your hammer. She's gone." So the coworker immediately calls 911 and reports, "A female is down, significant head trauma, blood everywhere. There's a sledgehammer on the floor." Wright County deputies arrive within minutes. Paramedics try to save her, but there's nothing they can do. Amber Czech is pronounced dead at the scene. She's only 20 years old. Deputies find David still inside the facility. He doesn't resist. He doesn't deny anything. He is arrested on the spot. Later that morning, after he has read his Miranda rights, he agrees to speak with investigators, and he confesses. Not only does he admit to killing Amber, he also admits that he intended to kill Amber. And then he says the line that haunts this case. He tells investigators the reason he killed her. He didn't like her. In his statement, he claims that at some previous time, Amber had given him a bad look. Not that day. Not during the shift. Not even the same week. Some unknown moment in the past. Wright County Attorney Brian Lutz would later call this illogical behavior. Because it is. But then David says one more thing. And this is the part that turns this case from horrific to chilling. He says he had been planning to kill Amber for some time. For some time. At this point in the story, I always pause. Because before we talk legal charges, company statements, and wider issues, we have to talk about who was lost. Amber was known for her kindness, her sense of humor, her positive, upbeat personality, her beautiful smile. She helped younger welders. She volunteered at her old high school. She was proud of her skill and had a bright future building a career she loved. Her family called her hardworking, outgoing, and said she had an incredible work ethic. A family friend said she had big dreams. She loved welding. She was just getting started. Her motto was always, "If you're not going to do it right, don't do it at all." She lived by that every day. Amber was not just a victim. She was a leader, a role model, a future mentor, a daughter, a friend. And she just deserves so much more time. So Advanced Process Technologies, Amber's employer, released a statement that they were heartbroken. They shut down production for the rest of the week. Staff worked remotely. They told the community they were focused on supporting their employees and Amber's family. There's no evidence of safety violations at APT. No suggestions they ignored complaints, because as far as anyone knows, there were none. This was not an argument gone wrong, not a workplace dispute, not a conflict that was missed by supervisors. It was a targeted killing by one person determined to act on a private grudge no one else even knew existed. So David Delong is charged with second-degree intentional murder under Minnesota statute. His bail was set to $2 million. As of the most recent updates, prosecutors are planning to present the case to the grand jury to pursue first-degree premeditation murder, which carries a mandatory life sentence. There is no plea, no trial yet, and no clear motive beyond David's own words. This is the part that's hardest for people to understand. How can someone kill another human being over a look, a feeling, a private resentment no one knew about? The prosecutor, Brian Lutz, put it plainly. Apparently, the bad look was some time ago, and he just didn't like her. It's illogical behavior. But here's the thing. When women work in male-dominated spaces, trades, welding, manufacturing, stories like this are not as rare as we want to believe. And that takes us into the next segment. Women in male-dominated trades. So Amber was young, a young woman in welding. And welding, like many trades, is overwhelmingly male. Women make up only about 6% of welders nationwide, and only 10% construction workers, and less than 30% in manufacturing roles. That means women working in these jobs often work alone. They're outnumbered. They have few peers. They may experience resentment from male coworkers. It's just how it is. They face higher risk of harassment or hostility. And sometimes violence. Today we honor Amber, but she is not the only woman whose life was taken at a workplace that was male-dominated. I wanted to tell you about a little story about the case of Geetha Angara. In 2005, she was a 43-year-old chemist. She was found dead inside of a large water treatment facility in New Jersey. She was highly educated, respected. One of the few women and few people of color in her division. This resentment from coworkers after earning a promotion. One day, she disappeared inside the plant. She was later found drowned in a tank with bruises indicating a struggle. Her case remains unsolved to this day. But investigators strongly believe she was attacked inside of a male-dominated facility where she often felt isolated. Her story, like Amber's, underscores the risk women face in spaces where they are few and sometimes unwelcome. There are countless other stories I could tell you. Women in construction threatened or cornered. Women machinists stalked by coworkers. Women mechanics or truck techs harassed or assaulted. While not all result in murder, the pattern is unmistakable. Being the only woman on the floor, that can create some vulnerability. In Amber's case, we do not have evidence of harassment. No stalking, no threats. But what we do have is a man who worked near her, admitted he didn't like her, and said he was planning to kill her for quite some time. Amber did nothing wrong. She was simply present. And that was enough for a disturbed coworker. In the days after Amber's murder, her hometown of Hutchinson gathered around her family. Restaurants hosted fundraisers. Hundreds attended. People shared stories of Amber's kindness and her skill and her potential. Her obituary described a woman who loved fishing, country music, and welding. She loved helping others when she could. She lit up a room every time she walked in. Amber's death left a hole in her family, her workplace, and her community. A hole that will never be filled. As investigators continue preparing the case for a grand jury, Amber's family waits for justice. And people across Minnesota and across the welding and trades community are asking bigger questions. How do we make male-dominated workspaces safer? How do we make sure women don't feel alone, unsupported, and unprotected? How do we ensure that when someone like David Delong harbors resentment, that someone will actually notice? Because even though this case had no known red flags, its impact shines a light on the fears many women in trades quietly carry. Women who weld, women who build, women who fabricate metal, and work with tools that can be deadly in a moment. It shouldn't be this way. And for Amber, it didn't have to be this way. She deserved a lifetime of welds done with pride, of her teaching young welders, of her fishing trips, laughter, holidays with her family, and building the future she worked so hard for. Instead, her life was taken by someone who admitted he killed her because he didn't like her and because he'd been planning it. There's nothing rational in that. Nothing that should ever make sense. But what can we do? What must we do? We must make sure her name is not forgotten. Amber Czech's story matters. Her life mattered. Her dreams mattered. And she deserves so much more. If you ever feel unsafe around a coworker, trust your instincts. You're not overreacting when it comes to your safety. This episode is dedicated to Amber and her family, and to every woman blazing a trail in a field that wasn't built for her, but it's a better place because she's in it. We respect you, we hear you, and we see you. Thank you for listening. This is Red Flags and Body Bags. Stay safe, stay aware, and honor the victims by remembering their story.